Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our Toronto Web TV Education Insight program. I'm the program host, Carol Chan. How are you? And the new year has been finished, but we have another new year coming up. It's our Chinese New Year. And beside me is our honorable guest, Mr. Chris Bolton, the Vice Chairman of the Toronto School Board, the Trustee Board. Mr. Bolton, welcome.
Thank you very much.
From my experience, you're very oriented. You enjoy our Asian cultures as well as the Chinese, culture. So you're the second time to be our guest.
And very pleased
it's
to be back.
It's our honor to have you.
And honored to be here.
So, can you share with us how many years have you been the board of the TDSB?
This is my 7th year at the Toronto District School Board as a trustee. I was also worked prior to being a trustee. I worked for 30 years for the Toronto District School Board as a teacher and principal, and so this is sort of the next stage. And now I'm also vice chair of the board, and have been for 3 years out of the 7 that I've been there. So very pleased to be of service to the community, and again very pleased to be here.
I think you're so devoted, and I'm committed to the school board and the education field. So this year is the election year. Will you run again as a trustee?
Yes, I'm already registered as a trustee in Trinity Spadina, which is in the Dundas and Spadina area downtown, and represent a number of communities, but most importantly, the Chinese community is a major part of that community. So I'm very pleased, and we offer many programs to be able to support the various communities, as we've talked about before, but I'm sure we'll talk about again.
So what's the main vision for this year?
Well, I think the main vision for this year is to ensure that programming is supportive of the community that I represent, and reflective of the community that I represent. So supportive in that it offers programming that's not only for kindergarten to grade 12, but also for adults. To be able to offer programming that helps the students learn in the most effective way possible, so that they can be successful and good citizens, but also reflective of the community. And in the community that I represent, there are many different cultures and nationalities, and so we offer programs that help support first language learning, like international languages learning. We offer parenting courses to be able to help people understand better the place in Canadian society, and ESL courses in order to be able to help members of the community be able to work effectively in the larger community, and prepare for Canadian citizenship.
Wow, wonderful! I'm very proud of you, because your vision is like global wide for motivate and raising our new generation. Not only the young kids, is across from the young to the elderly.
Right, and I think that's important, because we have a whole range of people that live in the ward as well as in the city of Toronto, and those people, we traditionally focus on the sort of kindergarten to grade 12 population. My belief is that we need to spend more time working in continuing education to be able to support lifelong learning.
Oh, you just mentioned you have been 7 years at the school board as a trustee board, right? Have you faced any unforgettable incident, or wonderful situations over your past experiences?
Well, I think one of the most interesting experiences, which is really the first time I've been through it as a trustee, has been with the selection of the new director of the board, which was a long process. We've had 3 directors in the last 7 years. Some have been very short term, some have been interim, but now we have a director who comes to us from outside the board, but was with us for a while as a superintendent many years ago. And so the process and being able to do community input and making sure that everyone's sense of what we need in a leader for the operational side of the board is reflected in the new person. So that's been very satisfying. We have an excellent new director who has a very fine vision of where we should be going, and is working very hard with the community to make sure that the community is included in the decision making of the board.
Wonderful. So congratulations, you have a new kind of fresh idea to
right.
your board.
That's right.
Great
That's
leaders.
Right. Yes.
Anyways, there's so many new changes, issues happens every day, especially from the TDSB. Anyways, I heard that a new ad from the Ministry of Education regarding some important thing. Can you share with us?
Well, one of the things we very strongly believe in as a school board is that a school board is that the students feel they have a sense of belonging. They feel that they're being parents feel that they're being well looked after and that they're safe at school. And so the Safe Schools Act has been now through 2 different revisions. It originally was put together in about 10 years ago, and has been through another revision which formally was pronounced and enacted yesterday. And this is about, the focus in this revision is about bullying and anti-bullying. And so what the ministry is now enforcing is across the province, and something that is already being done in the Toronto District School Board, is reporting of bullying. So that there's an understanding that everyone has a right to be in the schools. Everyone has a right, has a place in the schools, and no one can bully anybody else. There are other small areas in terms of reporting to sort out some of the reporting issues, but the main thing is really about the bullying.
Yeah, I agree, because we were kind of aware of the violence, school violence, and the bullying. This is the main issues happening at school. As a parent, of course, we would like to have a safe and positive environment for our children. But I know that there's some school already have a police standby. Do you think after that is having a great difference?
Some trustees and some of the school board officials definitely feel that having police officers in the schools is a good thing, that it makes the schools safe. I'm afraid I'm not of the same opinion. My belief is that it's the members of the school community that make the schools safe, and ensuring that those members, the teachers, the principals, and the students, as well as the parents, if they're working actively to ensure that the community is safe, then I'm not sure that we need police officers with guns in the schools.
For our next, another point of view, of course, the police is supposed to be the main job for outside safety, not just limited on the school. It seems a wise out property test for running this program.
Yes, and I think that is an issue, because in the Toronto District School Board, the school board is not paying for the police. The Toronto Police Department is paying for the police. It's been an expanded program. My major concern is that First of all, I believe that, if you as a parent are in your child's school and you say to and you see somebody there that you don't think belongs, you go up to them, you feel empowered to be able to go up to them and say, excuse me, can I help you find the office, type of thing. And teachers being in the hall, and in elementary and secondary school is important. I think the other thing too is that concerns me is this idea that if by any chance something happens in the school and it is an issue, the criminal the Criminal Act of Ontario overtakes the Education Act. So in fact, the principal and the staff, if anything happens in the school, no longer have any power to operate in the situation. The police who were in the school basically take over the school. And my feeling is that it disempowers the whole school to operate. And so I'm quite concerned about that. Not that the police shouldn't be able to come into the school when they're called.
So it's overlapped the power.
It's overlapped, and the Education Act is trumped by the police services.
Yeah, do you think it's for long-term goal that should be character matters? Kind of how to motivate our children should be positive, like how to deal with the bullying situation, even the oneself, they have how to use your positive way for resolving the problem. Like stop it. We always mention to the children, even verbally bullying. Still, we have to stop it right away. Otherwise, I will report. Something like that.
Well, you see, and that's the situation is that if we allow things to happen in the school, if you say, oh well, I'll get that later, then that action of bullying or whatever has basically been condoned. And when you come back to the next time to saying to somebody else, why are you doing that? Then they say, well, you never talked to Sally the other day about it, so I assumed it was okay. So we have to be always vigilant. We always have to keep it on the front burner. It always needs to be there. And unfortunately, in the last few years, the curriculum has been so concentrated on content that some of the other things like character education have sort of been removed from being as important and don't get and setting examples in the classroom. The teacher setting examples, talking about good things in conjunction with parents, to the students is definitely important, and it's another whole level of the curriculum, separate from the content, but the social responsibility is very important.
Yeah, I think that's why the Liberal government promised to motivate the young kids, be positive. We have another great strategy for raising up the new generation. So the new act, like the early learning, even they have great deficits still, they will implement the new act through the public. So can you share with us about the early learnings?
Well, let me just talk about two things around the new directions of the Ministry of Education. First of all, the curriculum for elementary schools is being revised at this point. So the curriculum from kindergarten to grade 12 or to grade 8 is being revised. Sorry, the elementary.
Is more solid or
no? It's got more in terms of thinking skills, more in terms of processing, less in terms of no, not academic, but in terms of content. Having to learn a million facts is not necessarily the way to go, and we've agreed with it. We've been pushing the government on that for some time. But the other very important program that's happening right now is the early learning program. And the early learning program is still being formulated. The number of kindergarten classes that will be in place for next year, which is the first of 5 years of implementation, have been already decided upon between the school boards and the Ministry of Education and have been announced. The question now is what the school day looks like. What is the curriculum going to be during that day? What happens if you only want your child to be there for half a day? How big is the class going to be? You see, in the past, the Ministry of Education and the provincial government, political government, has said that 20 to 1, so 20 students to 1 adult, is an appropriate way to go. To 1 teacher is an appropriate way to go. Now, the kindergarten, although there will be 2 adults in the room, both will not be teachers. One will be an early childhood educator and a teacher, and there will be now 26 students in a room.
So it means
so the classes are larger, but the adult ratio is
it's all the time maintain this same ratio, 2 staff.
Yes.
It doesn't matter a teacher or the early child educator. Most
has
time
to
the
be
2.
1 teacher and one ECE.
But the ratio between the whole day doesn't
Yes.
matter. 7 to 9 still maintain 2 staff or 1 time
Only
slot.
during the school day.
School day,
So,
I mean 9 to 4.
9 to 3.
9 to 3.
Right,
Maintain
or-
2 staff
Right.
at the same time.
And not over lunch. You see, there are many issues. For instance, what happens to the kindergarten students when they go to lunch? What happens about the before and after care? What's going to happen during the day?
So you mentioned that those kind of leisure time, not the solid school time, is only 1 staff.
Can be only one
Can be
staff.
one staff.
The question is, all the questions have not been resolved, but we've asked that question.
Okay. So
And do you necessarily have to stay for that other half of the day? Do the students have to stay for the other half of the day?
is there options for the parents?
There are options, but suppose somebody wants to stay only in the afternoon, and somebody else wants to stay only in the morning. How does that work?
Is it
We don't
allowed?
know. We don't
Like-
know. There are many,
There's a
many
little
questions.
confusion.
That's right.
But for my prediction,
Yes.
do you think that the parents, most of the parents, I think they enjoy the whole day instead of half day? Because especially about the working parents, now they're quite busy. They have to provide 2 systems for taking care of their children. One is a school, one is a daycare before and after school.
Right.
So this is I think it's a great news for them. They're
Right.
excited.
Right.
I heard that some parents they're very frustrated because how come my areas my son cannot get in because 5 years after and too long my son cannot enjoy that program. So
That's right. And the kindergarten classes are only for that area, so people from outside the area cannot come in at this point, is the way we understand it. So there won't be any what's called optional attendance. However, that again is unclear and will need some work. And the question is, if you're the principal of a school that doesn't get the all-day kindergarten program until the 5th year, and everybody around you has the program for the first 4 years. Are people, if we allow optional attendance, are people all going to leave your school? So there's many different issues that need to be worked out.
it's true, but this is a fact. You
Yes.
cannot please everyone.
No,
Right.
but I think there needs to be some clear thought about how to do it. It's the same thing as the primary class levels being set at 20 to 1. by setting it as a hard fact that all primary classrooms need to be 20-1, it has caused some real issues in terms of being able to staff schools and the number of students and the grade configurations of the various classrooms in order to comply with that. I think that offering supports and doing local solutions, allowing school boards to make local solutions and present their models to the ministry would be much more effective than having what is good for North Bay and good for, for Ottawa to be the same thing that has to happen in, York Region or Toronto doesn't necessarily work.
That means like overall, the parents they have a kind of options, but still have a frustration. For instance, is there any special kind of excuse or extra consideration? For instance, what is the criteria for picking the 50% school to be implemented the new program? Because, for instance, my case, a new immigrant, but I'm not exactly available that
Right.
school, but I need help.
Right.
So can we have an extra consideration?
It's a pretty clear direction that has been set, and basically it says that first of all the school has to have space in order to be able to offer the program. The school preferably should not have a daycare in it, so that there's no disturbing of the daycares in the first year. And secondly, there's no thought that in the next few years that the school may be reconfigured or may be closed. So they don't want to put programs in schools that they think are closed. Now, that's not necessarily, I don't necessarily agree with that, but there seems to be very clear set rules because, as you said yourself, and we argue in the downtown area of Toronto, there are special needs for some communities, regardless of if they have daycares, regardless of if there are other issues. If we have families who are coming into the country and need extra support, we've done this in the past. Why would we not do this again now? And that's why I'm saying local solutions would be much
because
better.
for my understanding, most of the newer school after 86, there must be a daycare available. If no, then it's a very old areas and no new kids,
Right.
young kids like this age.
Well, you see, and in
It's
that,
like
that's
frustration.
right. That's right. But you see, in many of the areas of the city that have where the population is older, that population tends to in many of the communities now be moving out, and younger families are moving in. So it is important. Again, it is important to think about the local solution.
Yeah. And how about the curriculum? I heard it's elect that the curriculum for the kindergarten is updated.
It's in the process of being, because if we're going to have a program that's going to be all day, what is it going to look like? And teachers and the teachers who are thinking that they would like to apply for the position, they need some support. And for some of them, particularly the younger teachers, they haven't ever worked with anybody else in the classroom. Older teachers might have had an educational assistant in the past, but if they taught kindergarten. But in many communities, there's got to be an understanding of what the roles are of the two people that are in the classroom. And parents need to have an explanation of what it is that their children are going to be doing when they're there. Are they, going to be riding the tricycle around the gym all day? No. I mean, there should be activity times, but what is the structure of it?
So what's the criteria or kind of qualification to be an early child educator?
Right. In order
at the system.
Right. Under the new system, you will have to have a certificate for early childhood education. And so there have been new courses opening up for people who would like to get that certification. It takes 2 to 3 years to do it. Although it can be pushed a little bit, and we are doing that in Toronto because we need so many early childhood educators to be able to hire for the programs.
So the past qualification is like the diploma of early child education. Is it accepted? Or they have to go to the university?
No.
New courses just meant?
No, they're what are called equivalencies.
Okay.
So if you have the equivalent of it and it's examined by the Human Resources Department, at least in the Toronto District School Board, as being acceptable, then it's given an equivalency.
Okay. So is it big need?
Yes.
Predictions?
Yes. Well, given the fact that they will be in all schools, and in Toronto, that means that there will be over 440 schools that will have all-day kindergartens in them.
So
Right.
it's a big market.
Right.
That's good. And I heard that the swimming pool is a good news. Some good news for work with the partnership. Is it?
Yes. So about a couple of years ago, I guess there was a motion passed at the board, which I didn't agree with, to close a number of swimming pools in the city. And then it was decided that we would hand it over to the Toronto District School Board has a land company that looks after our holdings that have been declared surplus, and that included the pools. Over the last 2 years, I sit on the board of that land corporation, and over the last couple of years, staff from that group have been working very hard with the community to be able to ensure that people understand that the pools do not belong to the schools, they belong to the community. And in the past, it's always been the case that the school had control over the pool, and when the school was not operating, the pool would be closed. And so the community did not have access, and so in many communities, they actually were quite surprised that they had a pool right in the school next door. So there's been a lot of education. Then the exciting part is that through all the work, thanks to the communities and the permit holders that have come forward, I was able to move a motion at the Toronto Lands Corporation at the beginning of January, second week of January, to move that we reopen 9 of the pools. Now, there are still pools that are closed. There are some pools that have not been reopened, but we now have 9 more pools in the city that are now open.
Reopened or
they're reopened.
Reopened. Oh.
They were closed. They were full of water because we knew that if we emptied them, there would be even more problems getting them refilled again because of all the work that would have to be done when they dry out. But we still have 7 pools in the city that have not only been closed, but they've also been drained, so they have no water in them, and that's the next task that we're working on. So, good news, the board passed the motion. 9 pools are reopened, but 7 are still having problems.
Well, anyways, there's a long battle.
It was. It's a very long battle, and I think that it's been a very important battle. The other one that I would like to talk about very briefly is the International Languages Program and our connections with communities overseas that I'm very involved in, very pleased about. In the Toronto District School Board, as with all school boards, there's an opportunity to have after-school Saturdays and during school programs in what are called international languages. So that's any language other than English and French. in the Toronto District School Board and in the area that I represent, we have pretty much all the schools that operate that program as part of the school day. So kindergarten, I have 8 kindergarten to grade 8 schools that have international languages, which may be Cantonese, Mandarin, Vietnamese, Portuguese, Spanish, Arabic, African culture are the ones that are offered, not in all schools, but over the 8 schools that I'm very, very interested in supporting. We also run in the secondary school, in one of the secondary schools in the area, we also run a secondary school program in international languages, which we're now developing into a certificate.
Like credit course?
It will be a series of credit courses that will give the students, when they leave, a certificate in international languages. And the one that we're concentrating on right now is Mandarin.
Oh, okay.
So we will be offering 6 credits. And
wow.
so
over how many years?
Over the 4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
Also, I heard you have 2 great projects working on. Number 1 is bilingual, the daycare,
That's
and
right.
number 2 is the degree program for the teachers.
That's right.
How is it?
Actually, there's 3, and I'll talk about all 3. The Mandarin daycare. It's the first time that the Toronto District School Board will have a bilingual Mandarin and English daycare offering, and it will be offered in the ward in one of the schools. We're still negotiating on the school, and it will be done in conjunction with the Toronto Mandarin Schools, which is a not-for-profit. So I'm very excited about that. So that will be a daycare. In order to keep our instructors in our international languages program current and with the most up-to-date methods and pedagogy, we are offering a 3-year program in conjunction with Liaoning University in Dalian in China, a program to be able to give those teachers, those instructors, and if they're teachers as well, degree in teaching Chinese Chinese language as a second language. And the third one that I'm very excited about right now is that we hope that in the next short period that the Ministry of Education in China and the Toronto District School Board will be signing a memorandum which will make the Toronto District School Board the only school board in Ontario to have a Confucius Institute, which is a very prestigious international designation, and we will be able to offer not just language but also culture activities through that to be able to support the community and to be able to better help our students.
They're kind of the international matters.
Yes.
Wow, it's
right.
wonderful. It is really fit our multiculturalism.
Yes.
In Canada, you are great leaders. So I know that you really enjoy motivating new generation. I just wonder if some of the new generation would like to be a politician like you, has run an office. Can you share any kind of tips for them?
Well, we're always trying to encourage new blood or new people into the system, and we do that through youth engagement. And I would suggest that the students and the youth get involved in their local school, develop a sense of their own voice.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. So you're famous, but if the parents and the community would like to approach you, can you share with us your information?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So they can get in touch with me at chris.bolton@tdsb.on.ca.
Wonderful. Chris, congratulations. I'm really proud of you. All the best wishes to your election.
Well, thank you.
We treasure you for our new generation.
Well, thank you, and thank you for inviting me, and Happy New Year, and Xing Nian, Kuala.
Wonderful. Do you know what's the year of the coming
This
up?
is the year of the tiger.
Whoa, powerful.
That's right.
Like you're so powerful. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to continuous support, and we plan to have more trustee available for sharing the strategies and vision for the rest of the years. So, thank you for your support. See you next time.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.